This is the 10th Vinnie's CEO Sleep Out here in Sydney, and we've got the absolute worst conditions that we've ever had. As I'm sitting here, the cold breeze is blowing against me. Many other CEOs are trying to sleep in this, what I'd describe as torrential rain.
When I think back to the first year, it's really amazing the transformation.
10 years is a milestone. It's a milestone for the organisation, and it's changed. I mean,
homelessness has changed in that time. We're seeing a different face, a younger face of homelessness. But also the leaders, tonight we had a lot of female business leaders, which actually 10 years ago there weren't.
I never come away from these events without having some sort of inspiring thought from the many people that you get to speak to. And of course, to be united in that cause is something that makes it even more worthwhile.
But also create that awareness about what we're all here for this evening, about the 105,000 people out there homeless around Australia and how we're trying to reduce that.
What it does highlight is more of those people that probably don't generally come together on nights like last night. They do come together, so it's it's a good thing.
There's difficult to think of any cause more worthy of support than the Vinnie's homelessness initiative. What Vinnie's does across the country is help some of the most marginalised and often desperate people.
I found that out of a lot of the charities that I support, Vinnie's actually make a difference. They are in the coalface at the front end of dealing with this big problem that we've got.
The number of 105,000 homeless in Australia doesn't appear to have changed over the last 10 years. However, if you look at the population growth, we are slowly winning the war.
44% of those are women, many are children, and many are young families. And it's often, they're homeless often through no fault of their own.
I've got no idea where the female homeless people shelter. I think I was talking to one of the caseworkers. She said there's plenty of them in the city. They're obviously not down that particular part, and that's a bit of a revelation because not seeing them, you sort of don't realise that there are a number of homeless females in the city.
And it's easy to think, well, it's such a minority, but you know what? Tonight, it's actually 2 in 100 women in the ages between 15 to 24, actually sometime this year, is going to experience a homeless situation. And that just seems huge to me. 2 in 100.
I can imagine how people might think that homelessness is almost a choice in Australia because, I mean, there's so much opportunities here in Australia. But then I did some research on it, and it's not. It can really happen to anyone.
They're not the bottom of the barrel, how society feels or perceives them to be. They're actually strong people.
I've been bits and bits of the poor for 35 years in different ways, and this is the first time we can really experience just how the poor have been doing it tough.
One of the things I've learned about tonight is the choices that one would have to make about where they're going to spend their money, how they're going to spend their money, what they're going to spend their money on to make that little bit of comfort in their life.
No matter how good that sleeping bag is, it's still a concrete floor.
I've been in almost the position. I've been completely homeless, but I was about 1 week away from being homeless. So for me, it's very, very dear to my heart. I understand where a lot of people, I understand what it's like to suffer and have no support around you. It's a very, very, very dark place.
I come from India where I see a lot of poverty, and it always hurts me when I see a lot of young children and young families on the streets, and coming and migrating to a country which is a land of opportunity. It's given me a good insight of what a good life could be.
My son met a man at Matthew Talbot while he was doing Solidarity. The guy was 35 and I'm 48, so he's much younger than me, and I've been through some tough times, but nothing like what my son conveyed this story about, this young man, and I realised then it's all right to care, but you've actually got to do something.
Homelessness is real. It exists. It's not always the fault of the people who are homeless. It's time that Australia was able to do just that little bit more to help out this really bad situation.
The money that we have raised has gone to some seriously good causes here in New South Wales. 10 years, 10 million, 100,000 people, if we can affect that is the motto for this year, and I hope we're able to achieve that.
I set myself the base target of $5,000, and earlier in the week I triggered the $5,000, and then the sponsorship moved to $6,000, and we hit the $6,000 and it moved to $7,000, so I think I'm up at about $7,000, so I'm pretty pleased with that, and like I say, I'll go on record as saying I'll double that next year.
So it was a calling card to ask. It was an opportunity to say thanks to people who donated, and it was a chance to talk about something that's worth talking about.
It was really good. I raised about $128,000, so I'm really proud of that. I'm really grateful to the Weekend Australian for donating 50 cents from every paper sold last Saturday, and also to my staff, my friends, my family, and my broader network, for all of whom really got behind me and supported this.
Something like this hardens your resolve to know that making money, making profit, which is all very lovely, is not counterintuitive with being an active part of the community.
Look, a lot of people think that the answers have to be done by the government, but really when you talk about homelessness, people are homeless for a whole raft of different reasons, and at the end of the day, it comes down to a whole of community solution. And
with a bit of prevention before it happens would save a lot of angst for a lot of people. So it was very clear last night, homelessness doesn't have to happen the way it is. Intervention earlier is definitely the key.
People can actually help advocate for affordable housing. People can donate to organisations like St Vincent de Paul. People can just give out a helping hand. I mean, they could just simply be saying hello to somebody on the street.
And I think that's the most powerful thing in life, when you're able to give back and support another human being and be the reason ultimately that they smile.
For those who are not yet homeless but might consider themselves in a delicate situation, who could be, do something about it now. Go and speak to somebody, because that discussion, that insight, that level of coaching might just be enough to put you back on track and to avoid a worst case situation.
There's nothing wrong with asking for help.
I think for people who are homeless, it's really important to know that there are actually a lot of people who do care and want to help. And that's what we saw last night, that for people in these really tough situations, you can feel like nobody cares. You can feel like life is just not worth living, you're not making a difference. But every single one of us makes a difference, and I think it's one of the wonderful things about us as humans is there is always somebody who wants to help, and there's always a difference that you can make.